different people require different environments to work within, and technology is not human. Get it right. It's a synthetic copy of biology. Um, all all technology is an attempt to replicate biology, but it's a poor attempt because people are not gods, so we can't copy God really. Um, and and it's understandable that it feels unnatural, and it's probably a good thing, right? If because it's not the way that we are designed really as people. It's the same thing when sometimes when people travel by car, they don't feel well, right? They get car sick, and it's because it's not a natural thing for people to do. Yeah, especially kids sitting in the back of cars, because every car is tested by somebody sitting in the front. But sitting in the back is a completely different experience. Your body has a completely different experience there. So kids often get car sick when they travel, and parents are like, "Why are the kids always car sick?" It's because they're always having a different experience because they're in the back, they're not in the front. Especially if you have those big cars that like carry 7 or 8 people. If you get right to the back and sit right at the back, it's like your stomach is like a lot of the time in that experience. It's nice to go out to the park. I've got the beach out here as well because I'm right on the beach. So it's nice to go down to the beach and swim in the water. And but on days when it rains or it's cold or in the evening when it's dark, yeah, it's nice to have other activities as well. So I try to understand what it is that my children are interested in and involve myself in that as well. I also, there's good and bad in technology. Like there's good and bad in everything. And as parents, we have to be aware of what are the good things and what are the bad things, and sort of orientate our children towards what I think are the more constructive elements. And I think that um, if we want our children to build a better future, Minecraft's not a bad place to start, because you can, if you've ever had Lego and you've tried to build something of Lego, like a house or a car or a street or a town, building a town is a pretty complex idea. Roads and shops and you can, as much detail as you want. You think street lights and all the technical things that are necessary. It's quite an interesting idea about how society works. What do you need? I built a Lego town with my kids, and like I asked my kids, okay, what does the town need? And the first thing they said was, "Oh, it needs a hospital." I was thinking that they would put roads first, but the first thing they did was build a hospital. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Obviously, we live in a time where children are absorbing specific information about the world, specifically health and health-related topics. So, the first thing they wanted to build was a hospital, and the second thing they wanted to build was a school. Yeah, it's interesting. And then, sort of, Minecraft gives children these infinite resources to explore and build and experiment and build worlds and have their own experience within those worlds. And for everyone to have their own world, especially children, is really important, because a lot of the world is designed for adults and not for children. Even play areas are designed by adults to make other adults feel happy and comfortable, not specifically for the children. Because the play areas are safe, and we all love safety, and we don't want our children to get hurt, but the real world is actually the opposite of safe. So it's not, you want your children to play safely, but do you? Right? You want your children to learn to swim in a swimming pool, but do you? Because it's not the real world. So You know, as parents, we always have that problem of when do we expose our children to reality, and when, you know, how much do we keep them safe? And um, I'm a great believer that there is no safety in the world, and that children should be exposed to everything that is real, because the sooner you learn, the sooner you grow up, and the sooner you have experiences. So that's why my daughter, who is 7, can cook breakfast for everybody, because that's important. Right? Number one rule of parenting: never do things for children that they can do themselves. And stick with that, and we'll sort of be okay. But just as a final point on that, there's a whole genre. Parents are not aware of this stuff. There's a whole genre of gaming. There's a whole genre of gaming which is called cooperative gaming, where people have to work together to solve problems, and that is extremely important. Working together to solve problems. So I have I have a like a subscription to a special website called Steam, and Steam has a special area of cooperative gaming. And so I do a lot of 4-player cooperative games with my kids, which is there's a puzzle, a digital puzzle, and we have to solve it together as a team. So it's not just, you know, shooting and killing each other, but it's actually think of an example. There's one example where people are moving house, and you have you're the characters in the furniture company, and you've got to get all the furniture out of the house and into the van. So you can, you know, as you can imagine, moving furniture out of a house is silly and crazy activity. So, you know, that's one example. And there's a whole genre of these cooperative games that basically, you know, they force people to work together and find solutions. And at the right time, in the right way, children love to try to solve problems, because that's what they see adults do. You know, life is just problem solving, right? And children want to be adults, and, you know, part of that is solving those problems. I also have a virtual reality studio here, which is a whole another world that which people don't quite understand yet, that technology has got to the point where you can be anywhere and do anything without moving. So I have a studio here for my children to experiment in virtual reality, where they can go anywhere in the world and have various, like they can put on a virtual headset and they can step into Google Earth, and they can travel to anywhere within Google Earth and feel like they are there. Right? And they're not, it's not the same as being there, but like, how many holidays do you have a year where your child gets the opportunity to see a different part of the world? It's like 1, maybe, for the average family, 2, maybe, right? But if you use technology, you can make it infinite in the number of possibilities. And this is about 30 to 40 years ahead of where the average education system is. The right approach is to be, as a parent, the right approach is to be conservative, I think, and not to accept the fact that everything is okay. To have a set of rules that you live by, I think, is extremely important. And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but you still need a set of rules. You know, life. The Beatles wrote a song called "All You Need Is Love," and if you read the lyrics to the song, the lyrics actually say, "Life's a game. It's easy, but you can learn. Life's a game. It's easy. You can learn the rules." Yeah, and the rules are slightly different for everybody, but it's It's very much true. Also, the element of technology as escapism is important to recognize, that although games create worlds which are not real, everything that we experience is real. You sit and watch a film, right? Maybe you're happy, maybe you laugh, maybe you cry. None of it's real. None of it is real. You listen to a piece of music, makes you feel emotional. Does that music even exist? You know, it's a deeper philosophical question for reality, and you don't want to lose yourself completely in a game, but you do want to take the opportunity to understand why it is that the game is fascinating or interesting for people. And we live in a world where we're now experiencing the game. We live in a world where we are now experiencing the gamification of everything. Education itself is nothing more than a game within the system. It's a system of rewards where you get credits for completing tasks. That's a game, right? The offer of a little star for doing something. Look at any little mobile game you get on a phone. You get little credits and little stars and little extras. It's it hits those dopamine brain elements that keep you fascinated and keep you interested. As an educator, if you cannot capture the interest of your students, you will never educate them. And if you want to understand how to capture interest, look at games. The whole purpose of every game is to capture the interest of people. And so it's what I tell all educators that I've worked with is that if you want to understand how to capture interest, look at how games capture interest. From the classical games like football and basketball to the digital sphere of games. Why did people play Snake on those old phones? Why do people why is everyone looking at their phone? Everyone's looking at their phone because there's something interesting there for them. And that's where their attention is. And education at a certain level begins with interest. And before that, it begins with love, right? If you can't love what you're doing, you'll never interest people in what it is that you're doing. And so the interest comes from a love in the topic. But to capture students' interest, there must be some reward in what is happening. Whether it's education becomes entertainment or edutainment, as I think it's now termed, where you educate people through entertainment, which is that's all television is. Television is education through entertainment. This is how you should live, packaged in a slightly more intellectual way, hopefully intellectual. And if you look at games, why is it that a person is specifically interested? What is it that they're getting from it? Why do you want to go back to it? Why do you want to play it more? What is it that's, and Minecraft plays into the idea that all humans are creative naturally. Whether we like it or not, we're all creative. It doesn't matter whether you're a teacher or a drug dealer, right? You're creative in what it is that you do. It's this human element. We're all God characters. God created the world, and we create our worlds. So we live in that image, and so Minecraft plays into that. You're God element of human ego. Yeah, you create your world. You are God in that element, and that's it plays into the ego principle, and that's why people like it, and that's why Bill Gates and Microsoft bought the company, because they understand human psychology, and that plays into that element. But if you look at the other things, it's all dropping little rewards. You get your little credit, you get your degree. That's why you study. You get your degree, you get your little piece of paper, and the piece of paper means something to somebody, and hopefully helps you to take a step forward in your life. But it's all little credits. Money in the bank, just numbers, important numbers, but it's credit. You want to build it up and get more numbers. You want a bigger number in your bank account, the same way you want a bigger score in the game. Just exactly the same principle. And everything in the world is gamified. Every single thing is a game, and it's understanding the nature of the game. Even in human relationships, it works that way. Credits and rewards, even thank yous. Look at business, right? Business and the way that business teaches people to be polite. Why are you polite? Because you get more customers. I'm not saying it's manipulative and it's bad. I'm just saying that it's a nice way to live, right? And it's better for everybody in that sense. So everything is gamified, and the ultimate understanding of that experience is the digital sphere of games. And if you look at gamers, even industries, I can talk about this for a while. I did a podcast series on local businesses here in Scotland, and one of the businesses that I interviewed was local gaming company. Gaming is such an incredibly huge industry. It's unbelievable. Scotland made more money from digital video games in the last 10 years than it did from oil.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a greater input of financial resources into the country from its export of video games than from its export of energy. It's incredibly huge, and if we think about the educational construct of how we want to build our futures, it's worth understanding where these cross over: the learning, the gamification, the delivery of rewards. What are tests? The opportunity for rewards. Here's your pass. Here's your little reward. Here's your success. And you can argue, unfortunately, understanding that has led people to make getting rewards easier, because people feel good when they get their reward. And also, if you know that there's an integration between, maybe Khan Academy. It's an online digital academy. It's one of the biggest online digital academies in the world. It has links to Microsoft. Anyway, there's a TED talk by the founder of Khan Academy, where he talks about the fact that if you control how you reward people, then you can control everything they'll do in their life. So the founder of the largest digital academy in the world said, basically, he gives this TED talk where he says, I can make anybody go anywhere simply by, we're all donkeys chasing carrots, right? And he said, you put the carrots in the right places, and said, you will control where everybody goes. And he said, that's how his education system works. It's the largest education system in the world. It's set up, it's free, but he says people will do the courses where they get the most rewards or the most credits. So there we go. that the gamification of things is everywhere. So, and understanding what our children, why our children are interested in things. Minecraft, and the fact my kids were building stuff last night in Minecraft. I was like, what is that? What are you doing? They're like, oh, we're making this to do this to. We made a portal to another world. I'm like, oh my god, okay. All right. Bedtime. Yay.